everyone, and welcome to the Vassals of Kingsgrave. This day, we will be discussing Captain America 2 and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, sort of. I'm Michal, I go by inkasrain on the forums, and today I'm joined by Bina.
Hi everybody, it's Bina 007.
Nadia.
Hi everyone, this is Nadia.
And Eddie.
Hello, this is Ted Ard.
For a second I was like, oh my god, what's your name? I was like, Ted Ard. Eddie, it's okay, I got it. Alright, so we're going to start off with our discussion of Captain America 2, which came out, I don't know why Marvel does this, but they, love Europe, so they give you guys all the movies first, and then they come here,
obviously,
a month and a half later, and it's deeply frustrating. But yeah, so it came out in the US in April, and I really liked it. I mean, I think this, I would probably give this like a 4.75 lemon cakes. I thought it was just a movie that was very much of the times and very intense and very unexpected, and I love the Winter Soldier. So yeah. Nadia, what about you?
I really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed Bucky in the first movie as well. So yeah, his return was definitely a plus point for me in this one. I really enjoyed it, but it was okay. I'll bring it up later. Sorry.
And Eddie?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I would put it at movies I've seen this year. I'd put it at the top, with a very, very close second of X-Men. But we have to talk about that.
Cool. And Bina?
I'm docking it half a lemon cake for having Robert Redford in it because he annoys me.
Really?
For Sundance-related reasons, which are a bit off topic. And I'll dock it half a lemon cake for not quite being Whedon-y and witty enough, but I really loved it. I mean, it was a great movie. I love Captain America. It's such a gorgeous character, and I just loved the doom and gloom of the ending of the reveal that Hydra had infiltrated. So, yeah, man, I was all over that film.
Yeah, I think it was, like I said, I think it's just very much of the day, you know. It's like, I think the Marvel films in general have kind of had this tone of, nobody trusts anybody, the world is falling apart, who do we pay attention to, you know, and obviously we don't have aliens invading, but we, you know, the government issues and all that is very much a topic of the times, and I was really interested in the way the movie kind of dealt with those topics, you know.
Do you think but I think that's more maybe an American sort of, well, that's the times in America maybe.
True.
I think post 9/11, that's definitely reflected in Battlestar Galactica and The Wire, and maybe in this as well. I wasn't getting as much of that thematic stuff, maybe because it's less in the environment here. I just love I love the idea of this wholesome hero who's having to adjust to a modern world, and I love the pairing of him with Romanoff, because she's the opposite. She's cynical and jaded and world wise and manipulative, and I just loved that combination. I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think it was really interesting to see both of them kind of take away from each other. I mean, take something away from the other in terms of personality and being able to function. And Natasha kind of, obviously she's not going to be a cheerful, hopeful person ever, but she did kind of take away that determination, I think. And Steve kind of got from her just that you know, almost that willingness to do anything, you know, and that they're just, that this cause is just so important. You almost get the sense at the beginning, he's very dedicated, but he's also very detached. And then throughout the movie, he just becomes so, focused on this. I thought they were really good for each other. And it was so amazing to see Scarlett Johansson not be a love interest. I mean, I know she wasn't in the Avengers, but, that was a you know, group film. But when, you know...
Wasn't she? There was definitely something between her and the guy, the Archer guy. whatever his name
Oh,
is.
Hawkeye. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, I ship that, but no, but like I was like, you see a movie and it's Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, and like their one kiss in the movie is like a distraction. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
they see each other as equals, as partners, as as professionals and friends. They're not like there isn't the, oh, we're both really hot, well, I guess we better get together then.
Which I really appreciate. How do you? I was just like reading back to my written review at the time because it was a long time ago. Sorry to rub it in that I watched it. And at the time, I was obviously, I think my headline was Captain America brought to you by the Edward Snowden WikiLeaks trial. And I was kind of like, did you ever find the politics a bit heavy handed? You know, the trade off between freedom and security, it's played for a summer blockbuster, it is very much in the foreground. Do you think it suffered a little bit from that? I mean, if you didn't agree with its kind of liberal worldview, then I guess it would be quite a sucky film for you.
I mean, personally, I don't know. I guess I'm so used to that topic, that it just kind of was like part of what it was for me. I don't know if, yeah. I mean, I the thing is, I don't know if we were necessarily supposed to think. I mean, I guess maybe we are, but like as it applies to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Cap's destruction of S.H.I.E.L.D. is debatable, as whether or not it was like the absolute best thing to do. So I think you can also see the movie as like there aren't necessarily like the perfect responses in this kind of situation. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
the message. Sorry.
his decision will have direct implication on the next Avengers film, which is cool.
Yes.
Which they
the
sort
Age of Ultron, isn't it?
Yeah,
the Age
which
of
they
Ultron?
they kind of teased it in. I think they gave Mariah Hill some lines saying basically Stark Industries is privatizing world security, which is what he was
Yeah.
claiming to do on Iron Man 2 as well.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think then
again-
it was world peace. Now it's world security.
But per Mikhail's point, I mean, I think that's really on the button. Like the idea of having mercenaries effectively running the war in Iraq. So now Stark will be running the war on terror in this world. I think that's really provocative and really cool.
Yeah, and I like that the show doesn't. I mean, the movie particularly. Like, I think we are going to see a lot of gray. I mean, Captain America and Iron Man didn't get along in Avengers, and I don't think they're going to get along in Avengers 2. I mean, I think they understand each other a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to be like, oh, we're best friends now. I think that antagonism is still going to be there, and the fact that these guys are kind of now all unmoored, from S.H.I.E.L.D. and like, as much as like having Nick Fury as your counselor and your manipulator and whatever is maybe annoying and maybe bad in certain ways, they all are very volatile people, the Avengers, otherwise they wouldn't be Avengers. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how it's like, okay, well, you didn't want to be controlled, so now you guys do this on your own,
Yeah, good point.
And Tony's gonna build an evil robot, I guess.
I was
Yeah.
actually surprised at how grey this movie was, considering what a black and white character Captain America is. I didn't really expect that.
Yeah, well, I think Bucky had a lot to do with that also. I mean, I thought there was way too little Bucky in the movie, especially for a movie that's called The Winter Soldier. But, like, he is of himself, like, he's fundamentally a great character, because there is no, there is no right with him. Like, he's not evil because he has no free will, but he's also obviously terrible because he murders people.
Well, we have a really interesting Song of Ice and Fire analogy. I was thinking a lot about Arya because I loosely call her a psycho in the Westeros World Cup, which, let's face it, is not the most mature venue for conversation. But I was wondering, there's going to be interesting questions coming up now about how far is she morally culpable. As a young child, she's been traumatized and desensitized and trained in a certain way. And like Bucky Barnes, like it's at what point is she responsible? Is she even Arya anymore in any true sense? And can we hold herself responsible for her crimes? I mean, she's still the same lovable, plucky little girl that we loved, isn't she, somewhere? So, yeah, I love these kinds of stories where you have essentially good people that turn into something weird, and how far are they still themselves?
Yeah, I mean, Arya's situation is more complicated because it's more realistic. I mean, she hasn't been kidnapped and brainwashed and had a mechanical arm attached to her, and
No, but in what sense is her
Yet.
faceless man
yes,
training a kind of. But her
But
faceless man
she,
training is a kind of cultish thing, isn't it? I mean, there is something. The very concept of being a faceless, making yourself as a human identity faceless, is somehow cultish and anti-individualistic, and about becoming a sort of, I don't know. It's very weird. I
but
want
she
to know more.
chooses to stay. She chooses to stay, right?
yeah, and she
I,
did go there on her own.
yeah.
Like
But she
they
is a
can,
kid. She is a kid. We say people under whatever age aren't responsible for their actions for a reason. It's, there's this whole chain of circumstances, and it's brought her to this particular place through sheer will to survive. But anyway, sorry, I'm dragging this very off topic. We can go back to Captain America too.
no, I
But
mean, I think it's a valid comparison, but the thing with Bucky is that it's like so sci-fi that like it almost like defies comparison for me because Bucky is, I mean, engineered basically. Like he doesn't know anything. I kept like when I
Yeah.
after I
so
saw
is
the
Bucky
movie and I was
still
like
Bucky?
well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I kept thinking of him like a child, and it's like I guess which also sort of connects to Arya, but he's obviously not, but he's in this like impossible moral space that is you know just so confusing, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens with him next. I mean, personally, my theory is that like he's definitely going to become Captain America. Like Captain America 3 is going to be Steve and like hunting down Bucky or something, and then Steve's gonna die and Bucky's gonna become Captain America, and my feels are just gonna explode all over the movie theater.
Really?
But even
So
in
Bucky's going to be
the
reclaimed?
I think so.
Can
well,
is
in the
that like
last
from the
scene,
comics?
in the last post-credit scene, it's when he goes to look at himself. It's we've already had this scene where he looks at Captain America and he remembers all of their history, and it's erased again. And then he's going to a museum and looking at all of his own history. That means he's remembering something, right? And we can assume he's not gonna get captured by those people again, like Hydra. So it's possible that he's gonna keep his memories, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah,
can
it
be
happens in.
redeemed just like Agent Ward.
That
I'm
is a
warning you now
very
that
different
I'm a serious
conversation.
Agent Ward fangirl.
Well,
So
he
Oh,
didn't shoot the dog.
Yeah,
we'll talk about whether he shot the dog. I still think he might have
he
shot the
did
damn dog.
afterwards. Yeah, I think he did afterwards. Anyway,
All right, so where would you guys rank this movie? That's what it's called, a movie. Um, in the general Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's
probably
up the top.
slightly, yeah, at the top, at the very top, Tedard.
It's near the top.
What's your favourite one then?
I probably still watch Avengers more. Plus the 25 times I've already watched it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think for me personally, like Avengers is a fun movie, and you can just watch it, and like it doesn't like it does make you think to a certain extent, but it's more on like an interpersonal level, not on like a moral ramifications for society level. And like I want to watch this movie again, Captain America 2 again, but like when I got out of the theater initially, I was like, I need a break. Like I can't, you know. Um, but yeah, this is Avengers is number one, and this is definitely number two for me because I've been like deeply disappointed with a lot of the Marvel movies, and this one just did not disappoint. It was a good movie.
I think they're just different, aren't they? I mean, I would put Avengers Assemble at the top, and then maybe Iron Man 3, just because I love that the wittiness and the banter that Tony Stark brings to it. I love this for its darkness. I was surprised at how bold they were with that. So I really rate this highly. But then again, there's part of me that loves, the stupidity of Thor. Thor Loki is. I mean, that just seems kind of more cartoonish in a way. So I think it's like depending on the mood you are, you take your Marvel movie, I guess.
Yeah, true.
But this is a great film.
Yeah. What do you think about the directors? Because they've only done comedy before as well.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the visual scenes here. I love the way they did the action. I love the way they did the hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, I was all over it.
That hand-to-hand combat, I was
Also-
watching
also,
it, and I was like,
who
I
was-
need to see this in slow motion. It was just really, really well done.
And what's the name of Cap's sidekick? The Falcon guy?
Oh,
Anthony Mackie.
Anyway, he's
Yeah.
who cares about his name? He's hot.
oh, I love him. Oh, I saw this
Yes.
little comic that was like on Tumblr, and it was just like the two of them in little chibi form sitting next to each other, and then the second one was him putting his hand on Cap and going, I believe in you so hard. It was just like, that's so him. He's like such a fun stand-up, like, just genuinely good person, and it's like, it's so, I just love it so much. I love that part where,
See, the
where
weird
the
thing
guy is
is,
like
like-
talking shit at him, and he's like, man, shut up! You know?
The last time I'd seen Anthony Mackie in a film, it was Pain and Gain, the movie that stars The Rock and Marky Mark Wahlberg. And the three of them, it's this true life story, play these steroid crazed like bodybuilders who go on this like mad murder and robbery spree. And he's so off the charts crazy in that film that it was just really weird seeing him play such a wholesome, earnest, it was hilarious. But I strongly recommend Pain and Gain.
But he's hot. I don't care about anything else. Yeah.
He's not as hot as Agent Ward.
Okay, but
Well-
Agent Ward is like,
Yeah.
I was at Comic-Con when they showed the pilot, and I was just like looking at this cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, and I was like, this is like frightening. Like, all these people are so good looking, it's a little bit scary to be in a room with them.
Well, not Fitz though.
Oh, he's such a
Aw.
cutie!
Yeah, but
No,
not.
This
like
is
how high,
rapidly
Nadia,
gonna
my voices just went.
This is rapidly going to turn into a girls' vassals night in, and we're going to exclude Tedards.
Oh, we need to do that. We should do that, just ladies.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Don't worry, I'll just sit in the corner.
You can be like Shellfish being forced to discuss fashion in Game of
Fashion.
Thrones.
All right. So, were there any? Where's the doc? It's right here. Let's see. I personally, in terms of like, if we knew who Bucky was, I knew that like somebody told me after Captain America that like, oh, Bucky is like a big part of the next movie, and he's blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I knew. Was it a surprise for anybody?
Yeah, I think I found that out somewhere as well, long before like Captain America 2 came out. But I
Yeah,
wish I
I-
hadn't known, because it would have been a complete shock for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read, well, when I found out what the title was, I looked at the comics, so found out then. And it's on the cartoon they had, Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon. They've got the Winter Soldier on there. They basically got every single storyline they've ever done packed into 2 series.
Wow.
The
But
problem
then they
is
cancelled
that
it.
in the publicity materials that you get, they have all the stills and stuff. So I was well and truly spoiled before I went
Oh, well,
in.
they had a big poster of him, so you could probably
Yeah.
tell. He had
Exactly.
long hair and goth makeup.
Yeah. I don't think they were trying to keep it a secret. Like they
No,
didn't.
well,
You know.
I saw it on the Captain America 1 DVD extras.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Kevin
Okay.
Feige mentioned it basically. They weren't trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah. So let's see. That question was from Matt, and what else is there? About Nick Fury. I was so traumatized, by the way. I was so traumatized when I thought he died. I'm such a gullible, ridiculous person that like
So you really thought he was dead?
I thought he was dead. I thought that they
Oh, that's so
were.
sweet.
I was really upset. And like, and I was also really upset when I left the movie. I kept thinking like, why am I so bothered? Like, there's something that's bothering me. And then I realized like I got really attached to Shield as an organization, and from watching Agents of Shield and from the Avengers, and just like the fact that this organization like existed as a fictional entity was important to me. And like then they were just like, yeah, we're blowing this up, and I was like, but so that was really tough.
Don't feel bad. Coulson will rebuild Shield
I
soon.
know. Now I feel a little better, and I mean the fact that Shield was destroyed made AOS like so much more interesting, but like it was traumatic for me. I bought a freaking Agents of Shield badge at New York Comic Con, and it was expensive. And I was
How
like,
was
great.
how has Agents of Shield like been rated or gone down in the USA? Because when it came here, it was like such a big. It was very hyped, and it was meant to be all Whedon-y, and we all got excited, and it started off with a bang, and then the ratings really fell away. So I think if it hadn't been for the Cap tie-in, it probably would have just died a death over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
Plus
it was.
plus ABC's schedule was a bit naff, and then Channel 4 had to have a massive, great, big gap in the middle for it to, for them to just do two chunks instead of missing weeks and weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was. The ratings have not been great. I mean, they've been okay in like interesting categories. Like apparently, a lot of dudes don't watch ABC because it's like Grey's Anatomy and Once Upon a Time, and like apparently a lot of like lady shows that I don't personally watch. But apparently it's done well in like the male demographic, and it's also up against NCIS, which for some reason people watch. A lot of people watch.
I have no idea
I,
what that is.
Navy, some criminal investigation, something, something. I
Is it like a
think.
CSI
Yeah.
knockoff?
Yeah.
yeah. All I know, it's got Kyriakin in it from Man from Uncle, but really old.
Let's see. Oh, Brock Rumlaw. Rumlaw? Is that his name?
Rumlow?
Rumlow? Okay. Yeah, the Crossbones guy. Was he set up to be memorable? I thought he was. I was definitely like. First of all, I was like really upset also when he turned on Cap, and I was like, but you were nice. You had a funny line. And yeah.
Yeah,
I figured that out just because he's like Sean Bean. If Sean Bean's in something, you know he's going to die, and that particular character or actor, you always know he's going to be a baddie. So I was suspicious from the start.
Yeah, he has a lot more to do in the comic. There's actually a subplot with the Red Skull's daughter, but they haven't even touched that yet.
I'm wondering if or when Marvel is going to like kind of pull the trigger on a villain movie. I guarantee you they'll do it before they make a movie about a woman. So
Probably.
Loki?
Loki.
A Loki
Loki's
movie?
almost a woman.
I'm all for a Loki movie.
Yeah.
I vote for that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I kind of feel he's already taken over Thor anyway. It's kind of like Batman was always like second fiddle to the Joker. Like Batman was never the star attraction, and I feel that Thor movies are basically all about the Loki now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, at least for me.
The thing is, my theory is, and I got this from somewhere, I didn't think of it on my own, but I suspect that he's going to be part of Avengers 3 because, like, maybe, like, working with the Avengers because the guy he made the deal with, like, he's still, like, technically in trouble from the Skrull invasion, right? With whoever that was, Thanos or whatever. Thanatos? What was it?
Thanos.
Thanos, okay. So if the Avengers are fighting Thanos, then they might, like, Loki might be like, oh, I'll help you, you know? I don't know. We'll see.
I guess that depends what happens in Thor 3.
Yeah. Now that he's Odin. That was the best part of Thor 2. Just that reveal. Not like 1 second thing. Okay, so any other thoughts on Captain America?
Not really. It's been a while, so
Yeah. Um, cool. All right, so let's move on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I would insert the theme music, but they don't really have theme music, so there's not probably going to be any music. All right, so I guess I guess I'm interested to know. I didn't write this on the doc, but I'm interested to know like why you guys watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because like I I was excited for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like from the second they announced it, and they were like, it's going to be like a Whedon thing, and like, his Jed and Marissa, his brother and sister in law, and then they brought in Coulson, and I was just like, this is just going to be the best. It's going to be the absolute best thing ever. So I've been like waiting for it for a really long time. Um, did you guys have that level of anticipation, or was it just like, oh yeah, I'll watch this, in like a normal, healthy person way?
Yeah, I quite keen interest in it because I'm well into Marvel comics by now, thanks to the handy phone app that's cost me lots and lots of money. Yeah, I like Clark Gregg in the films, and was like saying, "Oh, what are they going to do with it?"
yeah. I mean, I just
Yeah, when
watched
I
it
heard,
because it was Whedon. Basically, it was more because it was Whedon than Marvel, and I remember being quite disappointed that it wasn't more Whedon-y. And so I was one of those people who tuned in, got a bit disappointed, and actually I stopped watching. And then it's only when the whole hype about the sort of the Ward betrayal and the Captain America kind of tie-in thing happened that I then tuned back in and caught up and carried on watching and really found it entertaining. But yeah, I've had my issues with it. Not because it's bad, just I think it got out of the gates and just became just another genre Friday night show in a very packed schedule. So yeah, I've gone up and down, but I mean, yeah, I'm all about it right now.
Mm-hmm. And Nadia?
yeah, and it was, yeah, when I heard it was Joss Whedon, and then it was also related to the Marvel movies, I was interested in watching it. Um, and it's in the beginning, I think it was a little cheesy, almost. But I think after Captain America, it's just been a whole different show. It's amazing now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I've been shilling for this show. I mean, I write about the show for a website, so I'm like, I haven't like had a break from Agents of Shield. So I just like looking back, like there was definitely a point in the middle of the season where like at the beginning I was so coming out of the pilot and even the first few episodes because like episode 2 and 3 like they weren't great, but they were like the first 2, 3 episodes of a show. I mean, like you definitely have
Yeah, you
good
give it time to find its feet, don't you? You can't judge it just on the first two episodes.
exactly. And people were, and I got really annoyed at them. But then it was like episode 7, 8, 9, and like okay, I don't think the show was terrible, but like I just wasn't getting excited for it, and like also because on my articles there would be all these people going like, oh, this show is awful, it sucks, oh, cancel it, and the ratings kept dropping and dropping, and I was just like that kind of disappointment. Like this is there's like very little like healthy about this. I'm all about the emotions with Agents of Shield. So I was just like, yeah, so like that was kind of how I was feeling about it. And then like I thought the show started getting significantly better. I thought episode 10 was disappointing, but like after that, I really liked the episode with Sif. I thought it was just like funny and enjoyable, and I love Sif as a character. Um, and and then after Captain America, it was like that week was just like nobody knew what was happening, because I was talking to like 3 people and we were all like, is it going to be Agents of Hydra? Is it going to be like, are they going to downplay it? Is the show like, was it only ever meant to be one season? There were just so many options. And then like after that episode, it was just like from week to week you had no idea what was going to happen, and I thought that was just that's a mark of like good, entertaining, watchable TV. That you there are so many options.
I agree. And I just think the integration has been masterful. It really has. I mean, kudos to Marvel for doing it and playing the long game with it.
Yeah.
So,
And what's
you know,
interesting is also that like I thought the Thor crossover was a little bit lame. Um, but what I realized is that like these movies obviously have been being made for so long that like there was no chance of any integration like from the show to Thor and from the show to Captain America, but like we're sort of starting to even out. So like it's a little bit more possible that the influence will go both ways now. Um, and I think that's really interesting. And right, like I was also, all these Marvel fans like were like, "Oh, the show sucks," and I'm like, "Yeah, but don't you want to see what's going on in the universe? Like, the show isn't like bad enough to not watch if you're really interested in
But
the
then
world."
again, maybe it's they don't want to feel blackmailed into watching it. Like I did kind of feel like when the show was getting never bad, but just a bit banal, that I kind of felt blackmailed into watching it because I was going to miss something that would then undermine my enjoyment of the films, which is what I was really enjoying. And I kind of resented the show for that, for having this hold over me.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
Have has there ever been a show which was related to a series of movies so closely?
No, I don't think it's ever been done before.
Yeah, I mean, like you have
Hmm.
things like the X-Files that have like, I mean, I think like the X-Files did stuff like that. Like there was a movie like in the middle, but they sort of made it. As far as I know, I don't watch the X-Files or the movie, but um, they sort of had to like go over that stuff again in the show, like in case you didn't see the movie. And this, I think it's like they do just enough of like explaining, but at the same time, like you're still interested in the story of the show. So, like, I find the whole thing like very rewarding.
Yeah, I think they did it very well in the show. I mean, the most relevant thing from Captain America to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been sort of Hydra all along, and all you needed to do was explain that. And I think that they did that just fine.
Hmm.
Well, I think quite a few people who hadn't seen Captain America by the time they watched episode, was it 20 or what it was, when they were doing like the whole Cap's destroyed all the aircraft carriers stuff on the TV, and they were going, "Oh, spoilers."
Yeah, I mean, but well, in England, you guys had no excuse because the show and the and the movie came out so far apart. Like that was even like here, it was like um, it was like episode 17, I think that was the big one. So like episode 16 aired um, like the same week as Captain America came out. Or like a week before, and then there was a break. I don't remember, but it was basically like you saw
Okay.
Captain America one weekend, and then the week after you went and watched Agents of Shield, and it was
Well, that
like,
is quite harsh then. If you only have 7 days,
yeah,
I mean, a month would be ideal because not everyone gets to see everything opening weekend, right? I mean, that's a
yeah,
bit mean.
yeah. It's
Yes.
well, it wasn't opening weekend. Like they gave you like a week and a half, um, so it was like Cap opened and then like the next week. But it was, yeah. I mean, I had some friends who like didn't watch that episode because they hadn't seen Captain yet, and I was, yeah. I mean, I definitely like it is a risk, but at the same time, like it's like such a short term type of like it's not relevant now, or it won't be relevant like when the show comes out on DVD and when Captain America comes out on DVD. So it's such an interesting kind of interplay that like yeah, it's really important um, not to spoil people at this point, but like that is relevant for such a short period of time.
I also don't know just how hard ass we can be about this because it's kind of like the red wedding. I think a lot of people had spoiled themselves, and the purple wedding certainly. And I'm saying I only got back into the series because I was spoiled about the huge tie-in and twist. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. One person's spoiler is another person's very elegant tie-in that they want to know all about. So I'm kind of quite easygoing on these things, I think.
Yeah. I guess let's talk about favorite episodes. Um, Personally, for me, episode 6 is my favorite because I'm insane for Fitzsimmons. So um, the whole Chitauri virus thing was just, I thought, so well plotted and so like it was so nice because up to that point the show had been like so intensely um, thing of the week, and like they have to confront something and blah blah blah, and this was just so like it's nobody's fault. Like there was no bad guy, there was no villain. It was just something that happened, and like innocent people suffered for it. And, I mean, I guess technically you could blame Loki or the Chitauri, but like that goes way back. And I thought the acting was incredible, and it really was the first episode that kind of moved me on an emotional level.
I
So
agree.
yeah, that's definitely my
And
favorite.
it was the first time the stakes were properly high. It was the first time you felt this was more than just Monster of the Week 18 type TV. I really like that episode, actually. I agree. That's probably my favorite of the first half of the season. And then probably, is it 20, the one where they have Sky and Ward in the diner, that confrontation? That would be
I
probably
think
my
that was
favorite.
20.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's an amazing episode. Yeah, I
So,
watched
so
that
both
last.
those are like my Twin Peaks of the two halves of the season, basically.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Nadia?
for me, it would have to be the one where Ward betrays them. It was just such a punch in the gut. It was totally, totally shocking for me. And Ward is probably my like. I have a huge crush on Ward, so it was even more heartbreaking. Yeah, but I thought the entire episode was really good.
Yeah, and they managed to like make it funny at the same time.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, when the
I
show can
think
do that,
that's
it's like really, yeah,
I think that's one thing they've done really well. They've sort of kept the humor in, even when it's been like the darkest.
yeah. And I think that's actually when the humor works the best. Like I think the early episodes of the show, like they had their jokes, like they were fine, but like there was almost there were few stakes for the humor because there were few stakes for the drama. and and when like once we knew how important everything was, like the humor became much like sharper and it stood out more.
I
um
agree.
yeah. What about you, Eddie?
Uh, ooh. I don't really have a favorite episode, but my favorite moment is when Garrett gets on. Is they think he's dead, but he gets on the thing, puts all the Deathlock stuff on, then says, "Now I am invincible," and then he just evaporates, and then the camera goes over to Coulson, and he's got the thing they found in episode 2. He says, "Hey, found it." That was my favorite. That was my favorite bit in the whole series.
Yeah, that was amazing. And I bought it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're keeping Bill Paxton around for next season. Oh no, they're not.
I think my favorite bit, if not episode, is or maybe minor character, is just every time Patton Oswalt is on screen, he just makes me smile.
Yeah.
He's so like excited with his little lanyards. You don't get a lanyard. I mean, oh,
Yeah, he was. I
when
was
when
really
he
sad when they
died.
killed him off the first time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was so sad because I think the show needed Patton Oswalt. It needed that sort of that Joss Whedon funny, full-hearted character as a light relief. But yeah, I didn't like when he died.
Yeah.
So is he like a robot or something? I
I
don't
think he
get
might
it.
be life model decoys, even though they haven't really had
Yeah.
any life model decoys. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think
Yeah,
so too.
I feel like whatever Shield secret base you go to, there'll be one of him waiting for you with a different
Oh,
name.
cool! So he'll come back. Awesome.
I hope
You just made
so.
me really happy, Nadia.
I really hope that's the case. Although I don't know if Patton Oswalt is like too big of an actor to like have him anytime they go to a secret base, but I would love that.
He's also a massive geek, so he'd probably do it for shits and giggles, even though he is.
I think he loves the show as well.
Well, then I'm
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I definitely am pro that. And I like that it was creepy at the same time, because like when you saw him and he was like giving the same speech, at the very end of the episode of the finale was like, this is great, Patton Oswalt's back, but it's also totally strange. Like, did they have to go through
Yeah,
the lie
that's why I
detector
got.
test again?
So, speaking of lie detectors, does that mean that Ward really does love Sky?
I think so.
There's definitely something there. I don't know if love is the right word. Maybe it's too strong, but there's definitely attraction.
So, I mean, if you guys want to talk about character, we can definitely start with Ward, because I think there's probably the most to say about him.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I only realized kind of after he turned bad how boring he had been. Um, And because
Oh yeah.
I was like in like super defense mode of the show, and like people were like, Ward's so boring. I'm like, no, he has a tragic past, blah blah blah. And then when he turned evil, I was like, oh, like they're like, you have the capacity to be so much more interesting. And I mean, I thought it was a great move for the character, even though I like actually hyperventilated during that scene.
It makes me realize how harsh I was on the writers, because I just thought it was bad writing that they'd created such a plastic, shiny character, and that actually there was a lot going on there. And I just thought it was bad writing, and they were just setting it up. But I love when Sky says, "Yeah, and you've got the whole Hitler Youth thing going on," because that's exactly what it was. He was just so squeaky clean and dull. There was just nothing there.
Yeah, exactly. And like even the stuff about his past with the brother and all that, it's like it plays initially as just like, oh, whatever, he has a tragic past, but like now that he's actually evil, it's like it's origin story, not tragic past. Which also like adds a new element to it. And
He
also
also just inherently becomes Jamie Lannister-ish, doesn't he? Because then it's all about the shifting. Can he be redeemed? What's there to save? And that's why I think I'm drawn to him just as I'm drawn to Jamie. It's the same attraction, isn't it, at a character level?
Yeah.
So that's the question, isn't it? Is he evil or not?
Well,
No, he's not evil.
yes,
I don't think so.
the thing
I
is,
mean, he's.
oh, you go ahead, Nadia.
I'm just saying what Sky said in one of, I think, in the last episode. Anyway, she said, you're not evil, you're weak. I think that's quite important. He's sort of come under Garrett's influence, and he's just let himself, be manipulated. And I think he's too far gone now to come back to. He thinks he's too far gone to come back from there. But
Okay, well
I
then
don't
another
think
an Arya parallel then. A lost little person who's seen horrible things, taken under the tutelage of someone who promises to give her, discipline and a way of living life, and turns her into a little murdering crazy person. And can she come back? It's very similar, no? So if you see hope for Arya, you have to see
Yeah.
hope for Ward, surely.
I don't. I
Yeah,
don't see any hope for Arya.
I'm sort of, I don't know. I'm just like, yes, like everything he does is in the context of Garrett, obviously, but like there's so little inner conflict about basically anything except Sky. Like he just kills Victoria Hand. Like he just up and does it. He murders Patton Oswalt. I mean,
But he's a trained killer.
yes, but and
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, there is an interesting thing of like, oh, we're okay with it when he's doing it for S.H.I.E.L.D., but like when he's not, like we're not okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is all extrajudicial murder, right? Whether it's by the so-called good guys who turn out to be bad guys or the actual bad guys. I mean, this is all basically just heinous.
Yeah. But when we see him like show emotion for Garrett, when Garrett is about to like faint or something, and he just kind of freaks out a little, and he just tries to help him as soon as he can. I think he definitely feels that Garrett is like family to him now. At least that's what it felt like to me. So he's obviously chosen Garrett over S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
But Garrett came a lot
It's
earlier.
as simple as that.
And does he really have a choice? I mean, yes, he has free will, but when you owe someone so much, when you feel they're your family, anyone can say this, where you have relationships that are so old and so knitted up in obligation. Could he really have psychologically divorced himself from that and given himself to S.H.I.E.L.D. after 10 episodes?
But
I mean,
the thing
maybe.
is, like,
Exactly.
I'm confused about like. I mean, he's not a stupid person. He's a very smart person. Who speaks 6 languages, but like when Garrett has him in the woods, I'm like, yeah, I could get like after 5 years of that, you're a little bit more like, oh, I trust you, blah blah blah. But when he's like, kill the dog, I'm like, what? At what point do you just say like, no, I'm definitely not going to kill my dog, and I don't think that this is a good idea to pursue this relationship with you. Like, I'd prefer the dog. I mean, he knows how to survive. I mean, I guess like I'm my concern going into the finale was that the show was going to be like, oh, he was actually never evil. He was, or never bad, like he did the things he did for a good reason and blah blah blah. Because there was a lot of theorizing about like, oh, he didn't really kill Victoria Hand, or she told him to kill her so that he could get in with Garrett, and that Patton Oswalt was actually Hydra or something, and I was really afraid that the show would like kind of retcon into that. So I was really glad that they didn't. And I mean, for me, like, I'm not opposed to a Ward redemption arc as long as all of that is acknowledged. Like, the stuff he did and the choices he made were really, really terrible, and a lot of people suffered for them, and that's, like, not okay. Like, you can't just be like, oh, it's fine. And I think that Fitz is actually going to be, like, a big kind of carryover of that. Eddie, do you have anything to say on the topic, or are you just like, I'll listen to you talk about
Sorry,
the dude?
I was shooting things. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Ward and what we think about him.
He came across as a cookie cutter bad guy, and then it made him a lot more interesting at the end. But I wasn't really looking at him most of the time.
So who were you looking at when you weren't killing things?
Who was she? Also, Hermione Norris? No, that's totally different
Simmons.
person.
Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons. Gemma Simmons.
Yes.
Her name's Hermione something, isn't it?
I no, her name is Elizabeth Henstridge, but
that's it. But I think they called her Hermione, so that's why I was thinking about it.
They did in the first episode.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But seriously, what about what's happened to Fitz? Does anyone have any clue?
I don't know.
He's probably got brain damage, I think.
Can we assume that Fitz might be part of Ward's redemption? Is it, or am I just being too hopeful?
I think he's going to be resurrected by alien tech.
Maybe. I think he was definitely the guy who was saying, "Come on, Ward, you like us really, don't you?"
So, but that's the thing too. Like that week, like between that episode and the finale, I was like just like so upset because people were like, "Oh, he threw them out of the airplane to save them," and I was like, "On what circumstances does that work?" But then I'm still not even sure what the show intended us to take away, because obviously Ward knew that they weren't 30,000 feet in the air, and I don't know if he knew that like they were like Fitz has something like he says something that like the pod wasn't supposed to sink, but like it like misread the external circumstances or something, and so it like the walls got heavier, so they sank. And I'm like, but did Ward know that? But then at the same time, like if he didn't, then like why? Or like if he didn't intend to kill them, and he was like, look, I need to get you off this bus because Garrett's gonna kill you, and like I know this sucks, but it's better than the alternative. Like, why didn't he say something? He could have said something, and if he didn't say something and he wanted to, then that's bad writing. So so I'm going with he did intend to kill them. He just couldn't do it. Like he couldn't shoot them or strangle them because he was the emotional weakness carrying stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But seriously, when Fitz was protesting that no, he's our friend, he can't be Hydra, it was so sad. Yeah.
They did a good job with that too, I think. And like, anytime they said that, I was like, I was nervous that the show was going to take him that way. And yeah, he has the eye device or whatever. But it does really reflect the audience, because the audience was really like, what is going on? And you had everybody who was like, he's evil, and everybody who was like, no, he's misunderstood, and then people who were like in the middle. And yeah, it was well done. Like they anticipated the reactions very well with that. And I also just want to say,
but I'm glad it didn't turn out to be something lame, like he was being controlled or something.
Yeah,
it was just, if that would have been a turn off for me.
Yeah, he's an emotionally messed up person, and I think right, the key to Ward is that he doesn't take responsibility for his actions, and like he doesn't see himself as needing redemption. he's just like, oh, I was just following orders, or oh, like also that thing, like what he said to Fitzsimmons, like, I have orders, like that to me was like screaming like Nazi, and it's like, oh yeah, I just have to do this horrible thing. I mean, what am I
That's
supposed to do?
appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You
But so
don't
I
you
was
don't
like,
suddenly.
now I hate you,
I mean, this is a guy who's had, I mean, I don't know how old's Ward meant to be. So he's had basically, if you say early 30s, late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had like 20 years of Nazi conditioning. You don't just switch off that conditioning overnight because you think you have some feels for a girl. It's going to take time. The redemption arc's going to take time. In fact, I've read some people online, and actually one of my good friends who really is into this show was like, I think it's too early. They started redeeming him too soon. We should have had at least half a season, if not a whole season, of him as unremittingly bad and evil and as the kind of the key villain, because that would have been really interesting, and then redeem him. So some people are saying he's being redeemed too early with the kind of the Fitz sort of reluctance in a way.
Yeah, I don't think that's really redemption. I think if they want to redeem him, they'll let us know. And I mean, like, I'm okay with them redeeming him eventually. I mean, like, I guess I agree with your friend. Like, it needs to be like Spike. Like Spike's process of redemption or whatever took basically the entire arc of his presence on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So,
Oh, that's one of my favorite TV arcs ever.
oh my god, it's amazing. And like Ward is obviously like slightly different, but like as long as they keep it, I'm not I can see myself being pro Ward again eventually, but not in season 2 probably,
I don't think he's being redeemed. I mean, in the last scene when he's being arrested, he doesn't seem ashamed. He seems more defiant.
Well, that's his weird thing, right? Like that whenever anybody like confronts him with the bad stuff he does, he's like, "No, it's not me. It's not my fault," And like I mean,
Exactly. So I don't think he's being redeemed just yet.
yeah, and it'll also be really interesting because like what does the team do with him? Like they all hate his guts, twice over, and it's not like they're gonna be like, oh, you said you're sorry. Well, okay, like it's gonna take a lot to really get him out of the muck, both from himself and from the team and from the viewers. So I'm like
Yeah.
really interested to see how they do that. But I also think that Fitz's condition, whatever that is going to be, like, thank you, show. He'll never be the same. Thank you. That's good to speculate on. Um, I think that he did kind of have like a little flicker, I think, in his face, like when Coulson said that, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see. Like, I definitely don't want to like woobify Ward, but I'm interested to see how like the consequences of Fitz's condition affect him if that's the way they go. Because like with other things, it's like, okay, he's killed people and they're dead. Like there's nobody to like guilt him into. It's like that person was already dead because he was going to kill them. This is like Fitz's life being changed potentially forever, and Simmons' life being changed potentially forever, and yeah.
So is
Yeah,
is
and they
Ward being
kind of
replaced by
yeah.
Triplet
I think so.
for now? Yeah. So he's the
I think
specialist
that's where
now.
they're going. He might. I guess if they really want to bring Ward back, they'd kill that guy off or make him go somewhere. I was thinking sort of he might have had to go off and do things to prove himself that he was a good guy, like, or be like the major obstacle in most of the second season.
I see.
But
I prefer
I
him
wouldn't say
initially
I
as
wouldn't.
like a baddie, as an antagonist, because like, right, like I could see them also like, oh, we need to work together with Ward for this reason, and it's like, I don't want them to do something cliche because like I feel like the show has been resisting cliche since episode like 16 or whatever, and I really want them to continue with that.
Yeah, I thought maybe he'd be getting in the team's way, but doing it for other reasons, not like bad reasons, but you'd find out sort of later on that he was trying to get him redeem himself, but there was sort of misunderstanding, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's just have a moment of appreciation for Simmons because she is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find. Does anyone else?
That's my other crush.
Oh my god. Let me say how much of a crush I have on her, and then I'll let Bina spoil our moods. I have such a crush on her. It's ridiculous. Like, from the first second she showed up in the pilot and was, like, smiling like she had a hanger stuck in her mouth, and, like, the entire pilot, she is smiling like this adorable little puppy. And, like, I just loved watching her arc and watching her, be awesome and scientific and, like, totally her own individual person and British and just beautiful.
No, that's not what British people are like.
What? Don't ruin the
All British people can't be exactly alike, can they?
No, but is the actress even British? Because her accent sounds weird.
She is British, yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is she genuinely British? I'm googling
I think
it.
so.
As far as I know.
She sounds exactly like that when they interview her.
Okay.
So she's probably posh.
I think she is.
I'm
supposed to
googling
be
this
posh.
now. You got. But she's just so drippy.
Not against her. She's so sweet. She's not drippy.
Exactly. You're like, she's a world-class scientist. She's not going to run around like, hello, birds, hello, flowers.
But she's young. That's the thing. Like, obviously there is a certain amount of, like, suspension of disbelief in that, like, these people are all this brilliant and this young and this talented, But, like, once you do that, I'm like, cool. Like, this is awesome. Like, I love that she's just, like, disgustingly enthusiastic about things and, like, yes, I get to dissect a body, and I love that about her. And
I think she was just
maybe I'm
pleased to be there at the
just
start.
she's what?
She jumped off a plane to protect everyone else.
Yes. What Nadia said.
Yeah. Is this her first job?
One of them, I think.
Basically.
Yeah.
I'm getting echoes from Nadia of, but he carried Frodo into the ring. He's not whiny. The thing is, I mean, maybe because I'm jaded and old and bitter, and I just can't stand people who are that chirpy. It's like I just want to slap her silly whenever I see her on screen. And also because I think, Fitz is so obviously in love with her. Like, everybody can see it. And she's such a tease. I mean, ugh.
But she doesn't see. I mean, like, obviously, again.
How is she that unself-aware?
He's her friend. She doesn't expect him to fall in love with her. And she's got, like, triplet after her, okay? She's not gonna notice Fitz after that.
And I agree. Like, I think that she probably doesn't even think that Fitz is, like, a romantic type. Like, so forget, like, from her own perspective, but she isn't anticipating that from Fitz. So, and I mean, personally, like, I kind of got the sense that his feelings were almost kind of new-ish. Like, it wasn't like the entire time that they've been working together, he was desperately in love with her. I don't think. That wasn't...
Yeah, I think he was... When Sky came onto the bus, I think he was definitely sort of...
yeah, he
being,
had a crush on her, yeah.
Like,
I think he's definitely been into her ever since the episode where episode 6.
Yeah.
Basically.
I
Which is
I think Fitz has basically got a crush on any woman who goes on the plane apart from Melinda May, because Melinda May could probably kill him.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we can transition to Melinda May appreciation, because she is... Right, Bina?
Of course, everything that I hate in Simmons, I love in Melinda May, because she is a total alpha woman. She totally, uses sex as in kind of like the same way as the lawyer in The Wire. I mean, she's not a woman for all intents and purposes in some respects. She's not this sort of like subject to her emotions, kind of flippy floppy little chick. She's totally in control. She flies the bus. And she has such loyalty to Coulson. I love the fact that she now has to kind of get back in his good books. I love that relationship they have. I found it totally unbelievable she would have been shagging Ward, by the way. Even though Ward's good looking and all, I just didn't think she would have gone for that. So I felt that was implausible.
I was just happy that it was sort of, from the beginning, they were sort of foreshadowing that Ward and Sky would, have like this ultimate romance. But I was glad that they went with Melinda May instead for Ward. It was much more interesting I think. Yeah, I think it was. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I was very like upset initially, not because I was like such a Skyward shipper, but just because I was like,
Because you were jealous.
well, because I had in my head like a very strong I guess trope system of them all being like a family, and Melinda May very much being like the mother of the group, and then that kind of falls apart a little bit if she's sleeping with the older brother. So
Yeah, no one likes to see their parents shag, do
yeah.
they?
so so I was, yeah, but I mean, I like, first of all, I did think it was interesting that they went there because they were very much like, hey guys, ship Skyward. Oh my gosh, they have all these like awkward pauses, ha ha ha. And then it's like no, he's sleeping with Melinda May. And it was like, what?
How
Like
old is May meant to be? Like, how old are they both meant to be? Is there a huge age gap?
it's something like 17 years or something. I mean, it's significant.
Fuck yeah, good for her.
Yeah, but also,
I
I mean,
seriously hope that when I'm her age, I'm shagging like hot 30-year-olds. She's a
and
role model.
she does not look a day over 30 though. I mean, it's like,
Oh, I think she looks. I was gonna say like that's why I was interested to know. I think she looks about early 40s.
she's 50. She turned 50 this year.
Yeah, she doesn't look
She's
50, but she
50?
definitely looks 40s.
She's 50. She's so fit.
I know, it's amazing. She's just like a role model for him. Period. But I mean, I guess what May saw in Ward was like, I think that same kind of emotional detachment, which is
She just
like,
saw a way of rebalancing hormones without getting emotionally messy, and I
right.
respect that.
Yes, exactly. And I love that, she didn't actually know that she was being played, and at the same time. And
See, that's the bit I find weird. I find it weird that he would even have to play her because surely they could have had a very practical conversation like, right, we're both here, we both have certain needs, let's get to it. Like, I don't think she would have had to have been emotionally played to sleep with him.
well, I don't think
It's,
he like really played her. I mean, I think he took advantage of the opportunity, but I don't think it was like his idea. I mean, she's very much the one who was like, "Come on, let's do this." Like in the, we don't know. I guess if it was their first time sleeping together.
yeah, no, I think she was all about the rebalancing of hormones. But didn't he say somewhere that he saw that she was clever and would potentially be on with him, so he deliberately tried to neutralize her, and that was a good way of doing it. So, do you not think he put him? Am I misreading that? Did he not put himself out there as
No,
much?
I mean, I guess he did, but at the same time, like, I think it's like six of one, half dozen of the other. I think, like,
Okay.
I don't think he necessarily would have pursued that if she hadn't, because that would maybe have looked weird, on his part. But I think once she offered that, that was his way of being like, okay, like a check next to Melinda May. Also, he's kind of a misogynist. Ward is. So
Do you think so?
yes, come on, what he said about Natasha, what he said about Maria Hill,
Yeah.
and he was making
Yeah, but that's just
comments.
classic Nazi brainwashing,
But
isn't
then
it?
that's-
threatened to rape
But that was
Sky
more like that was more like
When did he threaten
taunting,
to rape
right?
Sky?
in their like face off in the finale when he's like walking toward her with the gun. After he's like, "What do I do with my life?" And Garrett's like, "Fine, go get Sky." And he's like, "Yes, I have directive now." And because I'm a weak little piece of shit. And then he was like walking up to her and he was like, I don't remember the exact line, but he was like, maybe I'll come and take what I want, and maybe I'll wake something up in you too, and like. He was like, "You woke something up in me. Maybe I'll like come and take you." And yeah, whatever. It was rapey, and not.
I think Game of Thrones has desensitized me to rapiness, which is
It's-
terrible.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. And I wouldn't blame you for that because it's.
I'm just like there's such a background threat of rape in all episodes that's terrible. Actually, wow,
Yeah.
that's awful. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to. The problem is actually I've only ever watched it once, so I need to go back and probably rewatch it and engage my Melinda May Ward relationship a little bit and see what I think. But I love it. I love her. I think she's really. There's so few genuinely in control, kick-ass women on TV. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, I think that her plot line was actually like subsumed a little bit this season. I think at a certain point they were like, okay, we're kind of focusing on Sky, and so all of her kind of internal conflict, and I mean, I was hugely disappointed in the episode that was like her episode, episode 9, I think it was, with the girl who was being haunted. I thought that was just that was like the first time I like turned off the TV and I was like, that was not a good episode of TV. It just wasn't.
So that's kind of like when I stopped watching, basically.
Yeah.
For a while.
And then like, but I mean, I'm okay with that because like, I'm also glad that they didn't go like, okay, here's exactly what happened to Melinda May, all the details. Like, I'm sort of glad that they left something for season 2, and like, I feel like we have such a good grip on her character now that like almost like what happened in the past is important, but it's not fundamental to our understanding of the character.
Yeah. And I must say, I mean, I do care about her. I care about her and Colston, and that she manages to patch up her relationship with him. And, I'm emotionally invested in where she goes. I'm emotionally invested in her, Colson, Skye, Ward. I'm just not emotionally invested in Fitzsimmons. I'm sorry.
I don't understand.
Dina, you have
because there's such
a
cliches. It's like, yes, we all know Joss Whedon went to boarding school in England, so we all know he has a thing for stuffy British people with these kind of, quirky upper class accents and who are a bit uptight, and it's just, come on, they're a bit too deep to me. They're a bit too deep.
But the deconstruction of that is so interesting. I mean, for like, yes, I know Joss Whedon has a tendency to make like, I call them the adorables. Like, he has the adorables in his shows. So like on Buffy it was Willow and Xander, in Dollhouse it was Victor and Sierra, Fred and Angel, and like, so yes, they are the adorables, but I think that first of all, I still think that there's something up with Simmons. I'm not sure what it is, but I still think that there is some kind of something percolating in the background.
Well, I think she's going to turn out to be one of those. She's going to be anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, right? But she's going to be one of those resentful hacker people. What's the acronym? I'm forgetting now. This is a thing in Marvel. It's in the Marvel universe.
AIM.
Yeah, that's it. AIM.
Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Yeah, I think she's AIM. Which would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really interesting. I've heard some theories that, like, she'll maybe go rogue in an attempt to, like, get some kind of something for Fitz. But I also just liked that she, her conflict with Coulson when Coulson was like, we absolutely can't do anything with Skye's blood and whatever. And she's like, no, I'm a scientist. This is what I do. Like, and that seemed very real to me. Like, her kind of, like, I understand why she could come across as grating, but I think that the evolution of that is proving very interesting. And
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what happens in season 2. But I think at the moment she's just in that sort of Hermione Granger, and it's a perfectly accurate insult, because just the goody two shoes with a heart of gold who's always there with a cunning plan to get us out of trouble. And oh gosh, isn't she sweet? I've just seen it.
She is. Your soul like being shredded right now. Gina is the cat shredding the curtains of my Fitzsimmons soul.
And as for Fitz, the only interesting thing he's done all season is when he actually freaked out on finding out that Ward was an agent. That was an interesting and surprising emotional response, and that made me want to find out more about him. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. These are interesting people.
Yeah, in episode like 22.
Come on, Fitz had a really interesting moment when he was like, when Garrett was revealed, and he was like crying, and he was like, I'm totally going to take you down. And
yeah, absolutely. I'll give you that. I think he's been very interesting in the final few episodes, but we were a long time getting there.
Yeah,
I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate now, just to piss off everyone.
Isn't that
the same for all of the characters, even for Ward?
Yeah, but Ward was deliberately banal. I think Skye was always interesting, and I think Melinda May was always interesting, and Coulson was always interesting.
I've always loved Melinda May, but I'm completely the opposite on Skye. I think maybe it's like literally as simple as you're British, I'm American, but then Simmons is British and Skye is American. Well, she grew up in America. Who knows what she actually is? But like, I was so a part of my like exhaustion that I felt a little bit with the show was that like they kept being like Skye is really special, guys, she's so special. come on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at how special she is. Her hair is so pretty. And I was like, fuck that. I let, you know, for me, it was just like, no, focus on Melinda, focus on Fitzsimmons, focus on Ward. It was not, you know, and it was like, oh, she's such a special snowflake. Coulson loves her. And, like, I'm actually really impressed that they managed to basically completely change my opinion of Skye in the last few episodes, because, like, her confrontation, part of what I loved about Ward's reveal was that brought out a strength in her that I had never anticipated, and I thought that was so, like, emotionally honest and so, like, so feminist, because it was like, no, she's not mourning this relationship, she's pissed, and, like, that was, you know, accurate and awesome.
Exactly, and for a guy who you all think is a misogynist, and I kind of agree, by programming, when she calls the cops on him in the diner, and the look on his face is just brilliant. Like, OMG! Not only did I get shocked, but by a girl who I thought was completely into me. Like, the injury of male pride and anger that unleashes is hilarious.
And he's like, he continues that on the plane, right? Because he's like, but I love you, and she's like, that's gross. And, you know, it was so well done. I mean, I just have to say, like, I think the acting just ramped up from the whole cast. You know, I thought the entire cast kind of proved why they were hired in the last couple of episodes. I mean, Melinda May, obviously, and Coulson, and for me, Fitzsimmons, because I thought, again, she was amazing in episode 6.
Coulson left.
Oh, yeah, Coulson, yeah. I'm not that interested in Coulson. Like, I love
Clark
Coulson,
Gregg is always awesome, though, isn't he? He's just such a solid actor. He's always got that kind of smart but likable. He's just a decent guy. Yeah. Like, he's a guy you would want. He has that. He always reminds me, Tedard, you'll get this, of Andy Flower. Like, duh, but decent.
Okay.
Cricket reference.
I found some of the line delivery in the show at points rather flat, and I think Coulson was actually the one most guilty.
I agree, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some times where he was just kind of like reading.
Yeah, I think he was trying to do the dry wit sort of thing that he did in the movies, but over a series he can't really do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, at the same time, like, I was, you know, really into him when there were, like, some dramatic moments, but, like, yeah, I mean, I think overall, like, I'm very glad that this show has the backing of Marvel, because I really do like it, and I think it has such strong elements, and, you know, I'm desperate for it to continue. But yeah, it had a bumpy first season, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess,
but it's like, but that's so okay, you know.
It is okay. I mean, like, you would think that that's okay, but like some people like I don't know, particularly like American critics, especially when they were reviewing the finale, like almost every article I read was like going into intense, like, colorful detail about how the first half of this season absolutely sucked. It was one of the worst things of television ever. I was like, people watch Pretty Little Liars and you're talking about this? Like, come on, guys. Like, it's not.
You forget, like, you know, many great shows have bad first seasons. I mean, Cheers, the first season was totally different and sucked. Blackadder, they're going to do a VOK on Blackadder next Tuesday, Wolfcast people. And that's like the best, that's the best comedy probably Britain's ever produced, alongside maybe Yes, Prime Minister. And the first season, I mean, you can argue that existentially it's a different show. It's so bad and so different. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of recent shows that were amazing from season 1, and The Wire's definitely there, and maybe Battlestar Galactica just came out of the gate strong. Yeah. That's really exceptional.
I watched some of the early Next Generations, and they. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a thing, and it's like, guys, is this unusual? You know, like, it happened to be, I guess it was a somewhat strong TV season. I mean, I didn't watch The Blacklist, but I know people love that show. What was it? Sleepy Hollow got very good, you know, response. It was just like chill, you know, and I guess it's a double-edged sword, because, like, the reason that it's managed, I think, to pull out, in spite of, like, the low ratings and stuff, is because it's Marvel. But at the same time, because it's Marvel, it had so much expectation and so much, you know, and I mean, you put Joss Whedon's name
I think
on
it's Whedon,
anything,
actually.
it's like,
I think it was the Whedon hype, and I think TV fans of Whedon. I mean, we're hysterical peeps, and we've seen so many shows like killed or messed around by Fox that it was not so many of his shows, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There was such goodwill behind this show being awesome that it was almost certain to fail, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, the writers kind of know.
It's okay as long as we get a second season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Which
it's
we
already been
will.
created.
It's. I mean, that's the thing that should really reassure fans of the show, that it's so woven into the Marvel universe now that it's almost uncancelable in its current form.
Yeah, and also what's also really interesting, when they renewed it for season 2, I was like, so the next this year was unusual in that we had 2 major Marvel, well, this TV year, 13-14. We had Thor in November and Captain America in April, and then we're having Guardians of the Galaxy in August.
Yep.
And then the next one is going to be Avengers 3, which is coming out, I guess, next May. Avengers 2, which is coming out next May. So in my head, all of season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is subtly going to be leading up to Avengers 2, which just strikes me as, like, unbelievably awesome. And, you know...
Yes!
Especially knowing, like, some of the stuff that... Or suspecting some of the stuff that Avengers 2 is going to deal with, I think it has just such a, you know, such a strong potential, and, yeah, I'm thrilled. And I think also, I mean... just thinking about other Whedon shows, and again, like, obviously it's not a Joss Whedon show, but whatever, moving off of that model, like, the second season of Angel was so much darker than the first season of Angel. The second season of Buffy is, like, right, like you said, Bina, it's, like, a different show from the first season, so I think that we have, like, a lot of potential for, like, really compelling, tough, interesting, challenging television, and I think that's going to be amazing, and I really hope that it does, because I want all the haters to suck it and be like, yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, look at the difference between Captain America 2 and Captain America 1. I mean, it got much darker, much more unresolved. So, you know, I always believe, despite what I said about Fitzsimmons, and partly it was just to kind of see if I could push you guys into biting back. But I'm always and even with Game of Thrones, this TV show, like, I just think give these things the benefit of the doubt. It's not easy to put on these things, and I'm enjoying the extended universe. I think we live in a great age for TV and a great age for, you know, comic books translated to screen. So I'm all happy.
Cool. So let's
So,
talk about...
does anyone have any idea what Coulson was drawing at the end? What Garrett was drawing?
I think it was a star map or something, because I think that blood belongs. It was definitely an alien, so I think something to do with the. Well, I think there's a tie into Inhumans, because they haven't got the X-Men. Marvel doesn't have rights to X-Men, but they still have Inhumans, which are sort of similar.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that we're going to see in Guardians of the Galaxy, and, like, if that's true, then that's, like, just so awesome, because, like, all the people who either don't watch or poo-pooed the show or whatever, and you know, will see that, assuming again that it is, and just be like, what's that? And I'm assuming it's not going to be, you know, hugely integral, or if it is, they'll explain it, but we'll have seen it first, you know.
Yeah.
So we're gonna win, you know, whatever. After we paid $35 for a 3D ticket. This part of it's funny because it's like, this is all just ways of Marvel getting more of our money. But I'm such a shill for it.
Yeah, but you know, I'd rather give it to Marvel than Scientologists.
Okay, right. So we should talk about favorite villains and guest stars. That's a good idea, Eddie. Because we're ostensibly talking about. Nope, not Song of Ice and Fire. We're ostensibly talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, personally, Sif was my favorite. Like, people had problems with that episode, and, like, I guess I see that because, like, sort of technically Lorelai raped Ward in a way, and I totally feel that. And,
Really?
well, if he was under her, like, sway, and, like, she just was like, we're having sex now, then, like, that's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, true.
That's like date
Good
rape.
point.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, TV does this a lot. They're kind of a little bit like, I mean, in a good way, like, they're more sensitive to, you know, male aggression, but it does go both ways, and it's like, just because the girl's hot doesn't mean it's not rape, you know? But yeah, but I loved Lorelai in that episode. I love her, like, again, just this character was like so unapologetic. Like, it wouldn't even occur to her to be apologetic about being female and being strong, you know, or like having hang-ups about that. And like, I loved seeing her talk to Melinda May, and it was just, you know, the two of them kind of just like being like, yeah, cool, we're both awesome, you know. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. What about you guys? Oh, in terms of villain, I think Ward definitely favorite villain. Yeah. What about you, Eddie? Because this was very.
I think it's. Go ahead, Nadia.
I actually really enjoyed Garrett. I think he was really, really interesting. He was just, his acting was really, really good.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and also Ward, he was good too. He's always good.
Yeah, I think Garrett is a toss up between Garrett and Ward for villain, but I think best guess character. Well, he only came in once or twice, but Sam L at the end, and it was like the whole reason Garrett was a bad guy is because he wasn't paying attention to his speech on his like introduction day. It's like part of something bigger. It's just like it's incredulity about that. Yeah, there's also that Quinn guy, but I kept thinking he was Tamo Penniket with a wig, but he's not.
He does look like Tamo Penniket.
Elo.
Oh yeah. You know what? I hated him at first. Just as I thought he was a bad character. Like his first episode 3, also I thought was a very weak episode, but he kind of got a little more interesting. Like when he shoots Sky and he has this line like, "Oh, I have orders too." It was sort of like that was much more complicated than I kind of envisioned the whole thing being, you know.
Yeah, I liked him better when they started hitting him.
Yeah, exactly.
About episode 3, the guy who goes into the gravitonium.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever see him again in like the comics or something? Is there a guy?
He is Graviton. He's a bad guy. He's actually a really high level bad guy because like guys like Thor and Iron Man had to deal with him.
So we'll probably see him in like one of the movies.
I think they're gonna save him for the show.
With that guy, probably not. They'd probably want a like A-lister sort of guy or a specifically cast guy. They're probably not going to use him in the film.
Because we definitely see in the last scene in that episode, we see like a hand coming out of the gravitonium. Yeah. So I'm guessing he's going to return at some point.
And the flower lady, who's so creepy and annoying, and him were trying to wheel it out at the end.
Yeah, that's definitely a ticking time bomb.
Who's the gooey guy?
Well, at the end.
Yeah.
That's Sky's father, apparently.
Yeah, do we know anything else about him, or is that just the first time
he's probably an Inhuman who have alien DNA or something. That's why she didn't go crazy when they injected her, because she's got that DNA anyway. So
that's what like anyway. Terrigen Mist thing, right?
Yeah.
Ha! I know stuff.
I don't know anything.
So apparently Terrigen Mist is like this thing that when these Inhumans are exposed to it, they like change, and part of me thinks that that's what happened in the cutscene to Captain America. That's what happened to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. That like maybe they weren't born like this.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because they can't use it. They can't mention that they're mutants.
Right. Bina, what about you? Who are your favorite villain, guest star person?
Well, my favorite guest star is Patton Oswalt, but my favorite villain, there's no one who's been sufficiently wickedly evil to suit my high standards of evil, malevolent, greedy, capitalist bastardy. Yet. Yeah, no, I like things that are a bit more malevolent than what we've currently seen. Because, Ward, I think, has sort of a few shades of grey in there. And Garrett, I think, is just a bit too... Because he's not a proper Nazi, that's the problem. They're not... Nazis are really fucking evil. But Garrett's more sort of practical, amoral, just sort of get shit done kind of a guy.
Yeah, he was like, oh, they screwed me over and didn't pick me up, so fuck them. That sort of.
Yeah,
Season.
exactly. It's just not proper ideologically. Like, give me a good, you know, racist anti-Semite, then I can get on board with that as villainy. But at the moment, he's just like, yeah, I'm not feeling any of them so far.
Yeah. I do want to say about Reina, like, she drives me crazy when she's talking to people that, like, she thinks she's better than, you know? So, like she's very smug with Quinn and everything, and like, oh yeah, well we'll just use the incentives program to get all the people we need for this, and I'm like, screw you. But then other times when she's like talking to Garrett or whatever, when she has that like wide-eyed, like nervous energy about her, I find her really interesting. So I'm really interested. I'm like excited that she's going to be in season 2. I think she's a cool like villainish person.
Yeah, she has that one line where she asks, "What will I become?" So can we assume that she's gonna become a villain,
Yeah, so
like
I
an
guess
actual proper
Yeah,
villain?
well, I think she's like Sky as well, so she might get Terrigan Mists or something.
Cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, so what do you guys? We haven't really talked about him. What do you think about the Deathlock story? Not
The what
interested in
story?
him. The
I
death,
liked him.
the Mike Peterson plotline.
Oh, that's so tragic.
It was very tragic,
Yeah.
but I liked him best, like, as it, like, in the end, like, when he had that scene where he, like, heart attacked Ward, I loved him in that, because that was just, like, business, you know, and then, like, he had that great zinger, like, oh, I was, you know, it wasn't personal, like, at the end. So, like, I felt like in the last few, like, his personality sort of got subsumed by all the crap that was happening to him, you know? So it was like he couldn't be himself really in the pilot because he was going crazy with the centipede stuff. After that, like he was himself for like a little bit in that episode where he came back, but then he got blown up and whatever. And then he was all like, "Oh no, I'm blown up and I have kill switch in my eye. This all sucks." I was like, "Yeah, that sucks, but like you're not interesting at this point." And then finally, like when he was starting to kind of own the Deathlock stuff and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to do this, but I have to," and there's no like way around that. I found that really, really appealing.
Plus, it was quite funny seeing Ward that vulnerable and scared.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and you know, there are some things that like I picked up on that I just thought were really, really cool. Like, it was driving me crazy in the episodes where like Sky was shot and like recovering and whatever, where Ward was like, "Oh, I don't blame myself." And he like kind of gave this look to Coulson, and I was assuming that the show was like implying that he blamed Coulson, and I was like, that makes no sense. This show is not following logical rules. I don't understand. It just wasn't working for me. And I was like, no, he's upset at Garrett. It's like, oh, that is so much better, and it makes like it just like clicks so well. You know, and also like with Ward going back, just in episode 6, like he's all hurt because Sky had betrayed them to her boyfriend, and he's like talking to Coulson about how he can't trust her and like she betrayed us. It's like, you piece of shit! Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't go back. I can't wait to go back. Go back. Oh, I can't speak now. I can't wait to go back and do a rewatch in the light of knowledge.
Yeah.
And just call
I totally missed those
shenanigans
looks that
of
you're
people.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally missed those looks at Garrett that you're talking about. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, so season 2, I guess let's just do a little, there's not that much to speculate on, but, yeah, so Coulson is now Director Coulson. That's
Yay.
cool. But I'm
Yay.
always going to call him Agent, though, because, yeah.
Yeah, I think the little black MacGuffin he gave Fury gave him is going to give him missions or whatever.
Yeah. But I hope they don't go back to just, like, Villain of the Week. Like, obviously there can be, you know, a few episodes like that, but the show got so much better when they had, like, a driving story, and yeah, so I hope it's not just like, okay, this week the Cube tells us to do this, and like, you know.
Yeah, that would suck.
Okay, so all of these people have escaped from the fridge, right? So I'm assuming somebody has to get them all back.
There will be criminal roundup of the week, won't there? Like each week they'll have to go and get someone and put them back
There
in
has to be. I mean, you can't. There has to be because you can't just let those people run around doing whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like, I'm not opposed to that again, you know, like, from time to time. Like, I understand, you know, 20-odd episodes are a lot, you know, it's difficult.
Is the season 2 order as many episodes, or if they cut it down?
I don't think they've given it, or they haven't, like, publicly announced how many episodes it is, but they've ordered it. It's probably, they ordered Agent Carter, I think, for 8, and that is assumed to be, like, the mid-season, like, you know, however many, I guess, 10-odd episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then 8 episodes of Carter and then back to S.H.I.E.L.D.
I have to say, I'm massively excited about Agent Carter because, number one, I hope it's a costume drama. I hope it's from World War II. But number two, because Hayley Atwell is just awesome.
Yeah.
She's like a real woman. She's got like a real figure. She's like really smart. And I think she's got tremendous charisma and screen presence. So like, she's my girl crush.
Yeah. Have you seen the little short of her, which is like the premiere for that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That made me very excited.
It'll probably be like post World War II, but still in that
costume.
era.
Yeah. Cold War. Love it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be cool. And in my like dream, Coulson or whatever, like they end up finding something like messages from Peggy back in the 50s or something, and like that plays into
so cool.
that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, I don't know if that level of integration is like possible, because at that point there's just so many moving parts.
What would be awesome is if Skye turned out to be like her granddaughter or something.
So she's like Sharon Carter's cousin also, or
yeah.
I don't want Skye to be more special.
What did you guys think about that? The scene with her and Cap in the film.
Okay, I actually hated that.
The aged up Peggy.
Yeah, it was either really good makeup or they CGI. I couldn't really tell. It was a little bit weird, but emotionally, I was fluttering.
I was choked up.
Yeah,
it got a little dusty in the theater, I have to say.
See, I didn't like it. I thought it was manipulative. I liked knowing that. Yeah, great. That's nice that Steve goes to visit her. I'm glad, but like at the same time, I'm like, but like, why do you have to make it like this? Like, it's not like there was no purpose to it, you know. And like, I liked seeing her her videos, you know, that they had in the museum and stuff. But I didn't.
I think the purpose was to show that Cap's still clinging to the past, and the whole movie is about him reconciling himself to the fact that he is in this rather ickier present day, and that he has to deal with what he currently has rather than always reminiscing and hankering for something that's gone. And that's the powerful message that she gives him.
Yeah, exactly. But the end of that scene where she just starts talking from the beginning again, it's so sad.
Yeah, I also don't like knowing, like, okay, so Peggy Carter does all this awesome stuff and then she ends up with Alzheimer's. I'm like, I don't like that.
Well, it's real life.
I know.
That's what life is about. So,
and it's wonderful. You know, we have these superhero movies, and even like with these guys who are just humans, but you know, they're so perfect in a way. They're so unrealistically brilliant. So you have the beautiful young woman who's also an amazing scientist or whatever. In the case of Simmons, you know, it's nice to see vulnerability. It's nice to see the great levelers in there. It makes it more relatable, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. Part of my Peggy Carter experience is resentment that she was perfectly made up through the entirety of Captain America 1. And it's like, makeup in the 40s was not easy to work with, and she's living in a tent in Germany, and it's raining, and it's like, I just couldn't, like, that was one detail.
It's super secret spy makeup.
Yeah.
There are ways and means, Mikhail. There are ways and means. Lawrence of Arabia had half a can of water and still managed to shave every day when crossing the Nefut Desert. So when British people are under stress in wartime, we do maintain our standards.
That's true. Maybe it is a British thing. Yeah.
Sorry. I just had to do
It's
that.
okay. No, but then I was talking to my friend about it, and she was like, "But like, she can still be a strong woman if she's wearing makeup." And I'm like, "No, that's not what I'm saying. I have no problem with the fact that she was like wearing makeup ever. I just like think that the circumstances were a little bit, which is also
No, I'm
something
with
that,
you.
like,
I agree. It's not plausible, but it's comic book fantasy.
True. But I mean, there were certain like little details on Shield that I liked. Like Simmons like ties her hair back when she's doing something scientific. Like just little things like that. I think I appreciate. Even though Sky looks gorgeous all the time, but whatever.
But it's just that none of them look like geeks. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying geeks can't be pretty and glamorous, haven't have perfect sort of wavy hair, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, so I guess season 2 will be leading up to Ultron, and I wonder if there's going to be more of a if like robots are going to be a thing, at some point.
I'd guess
Maybe
so.
they could
And I
be
think
like
AIM.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool, actually, if AIM becomes a thing, and then it's revealed that Simmons has connections to AIM. That would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to see that relationship go through some real stress, I think.
Well, it is anyway, right? But you mean Fitzsimmons?
Yeah.
Because whatever's going to be happening to Fitz is not going to be easy to deal with. So I assume...
Nothing has happened to Fitz. He's just a little unconscious and he's going to wake up anytime soon and he's going to be just fine.
his accent's going to change. He's going to start talking Swahili.
Oh, poor Nadia. But no, I'm excited for next season.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm like, yeah, I'm hopeful, and I think that there'll be hopefully a little more direction the whole time, and yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Actually, here's a statement. I'm almost more excited about the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than I am about the next season of Game of Thrones.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Who said that?
Me. Bina.
Oh, okay.
No, it was me, actually. I was doing Bina's accent.
That's not how I sound.
That wasn't a good one.
I thought Tina was quoting somebody else.
Yeah, no,
Well,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. also...
I can understand that.
But it was complicated, wasn't it? Because I was, like, so not used to this show, like, demanding of me, like, real emotional investment after a while. And then it was, like, all the Hydra stuff happened, and it was like, wait, I have a ton of thoughts. And, like, it was around the same time that Game of Thrones started, and it was like, wait, Jaime's raping Cersei. I have a ton of thoughts. And it was, like, too much, like, head stuff going on. Cool.
Okay.
So, any last thoughts? No,
I mean, only just to say that despite my somewhat critical attitude, I really actually am enjoying this show, and I am excited, and yeah, all good things.
But yeah, so that has been your VOK on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America. I know that Matt and Texas...
East Texas
yes.
Direwolf.
East Texas Direwolf.
They want to talk about like actual comic stuff, so if people want to do that, that's cool, but I don't know anything about that, so they can...
That's never stopped us before.
Right, exactly. It's just... To Vok does not connotate to know, I guess.
Is that a verb now? Are we a verb?
Yeah, in our which one was it? I don't know who started the Vok appreciation thread, and I was like, we are to Vok is a word.
To ramble.
He's also
on
a character in Star Trek.
Vok is a person?
Tuvok.
Oh, really? That's hysterical.
Star Trek Voyager.
Well, we are Voking. That's how we roll. All right, so thank you so much for listening, and listen to Vassals of Kingsgrave, because we're totally awesome, and we talk about everything.
Indiscriminately.
Exactly.
Let us now reverse Vok of shame out of this
and
podcast.
at length.
At an extreme length.
Indiscriminately at length for a shocking lack of knowledge. Hail Hydra.
Can you guys hear that helicopter in my background?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm being like spied on by S.H.I.E.L.D. or
Hydra
something.
is it?
Right.
Hail Hydra.
This is
Like,
appalling. So first of all, I'm blaming the podcast of Ice and Fire Chick for washing up, and now you're like gaming while we're recording. Do people have no courtesy? I'm sorry, but this is basically where it begins. This is where the decline of civilization starts. When we wake up in 100 years' time and it's Wall-E and the Earth is a barren planet and we're all on spaceships obese just watching bloody Real Housewives of Mars. This is where it began, when people didn't have courtesy to like do one thing at a time.
You heard it here first, folks.
If I was gaming properly, you'd know about it because I've been complaining about it. No, I'm test driving stuff. Yeah, he came. Hail Hydra.
I know who Andy Flower is.
I know what flowers are.
So does Fitz. So does Simmons.
Andy Flower, I think, just became the batting coach for Pakistan, I think.
Oh, he'll be running it in 2 years then.
I find that seriously hard to believe because he's on contract with the English Cricket Board at their training camp in Loughborough.
I think
Unless he's left.
did. I think he did. I think I saw it in the newspaper a couple of days ago.
Hail Hydra.
You know these geeky people who work out languages for Game of Thrones? I will totally do that for you on the
That
end.
is so awesome. This is fantastic.
Put in Monty Python references.
I'll put in Monty Python references, but there will not be square coins because that's just silly.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, this is true. But if you ever want to just like clear your head and be vapid, then watch Made in Chelsea.
What is
If
this
you want
show?
really, it's a reality TV show set in Chelsea in London, which is a very affluent part of London.
Oh, it's like
And
Real
it has-
Housewives, just
And it just has really vapid people doing really vapid things. And somehow it's just utterly relaxing. It's just,
I watch Say Yes to the Dress when I need to relax.
it's very cult viewing, I would say. The problem is that 95% of people who watch it don't watch it as cult. They watch it seriously, like as an aspirational vlog,
Oh dear.
which is quite scary.
Has anyone seen Arrow?
Yes.
Because I watched the first season and it's sort of like second season's better, which I've been watching through. I mean, they're all very gloomy and mopey and emo in that one.
The problem with Arrow, I mean, Arrow is another one where I started watching and then I sort of thought, oh, this is quite cheesy and quite low production value. And then they introduced some other cool characters and I kind of got back in. I'm very patchy on that. Is that popular in the US? How does that rate relative to S.H.I.E.L.D?
I think it is popular. I think the ratings are lower, but the network also is not like expecting that as much. It's been renewed for season 3 as far as I know.
Yeah.
I have a personal little like grudge against Arrow because the first few months of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. everybody's like, why isn't this show like Arrow? And it's like, because it's about humans and it's not Arrow. Like, shut up. So, but also now they have the Flash show that they're making.
Yeah. I just saw like the preview of the Flash and I thought, oh, the CG doesn't look particularly good in that. Which is also the case in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I think.
For me, it's like
I mean,
I'm
TV,
just
that's
expecting that the CGI does not look good, and if it does, then I'll be surprised pleasantly.
Yeah,
It's really funny. If you go back and watch old episodes of Buffy, I mean, that is hokey.
Oh
That's
my
like
gosh.
early Doctor Who hokey.
yeah.
That it literally is a person wearing like a jelly face mask running around.
Yeah, I think the fights are generally better in Arrow, but it's strange because they do it at night and all the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff's in the day and you can see more of it, so you can see the edges.
I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, they had some good fights. Like, I thought the Sith Lorelei stuff, that was cool, and yeah, I mean, whenever it's like a big bunch of like goons, I'm not really interested. I'm like, okay, like I recap the show, so I'm like, this is a nice break. Like, tell me when something happens, you know. But yeah, it's not really why I watch TV anyway. So
Hail Hydra.
cool, awesomeness. So I guess that.
And
was
also, they were mean not to do like a telephonic hug with you at the end of the 100. Who
Oh,
killed Jaws?
I was like, what? The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are gonna hug me? Like, I'm good for that. Like, what?
I would have done a Skype hug, a group hug to sort of close out the call.
It
What
was
miserable people.
it was the wrong crowd, I think. Yeah.
And Duncan was just like, no, we're not doing that. And he's never like sort of hardcore. He's always quite easygoing. So that was like hilarious.
I think he'd been on his computer for like 4 hours, and because we finished at like 8 o'clock, and or even after 8, and yeah. But I was a little surprised at like the lack of response. I was like, okay, I guess I'm like the mushy one here, even though
They just left you hanging. It was terrible.
They really did. It was
so they should apologize.
yeah.
That was bad.
Oh wow.
Hail Hydra. Everyone is going to die. They're all going to die in a variety of different ways. 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 Ways.